It's Sunday, June 19th, 2022, Father's Day. It has, the sun has finally come out. It's been gone most of the last week and a half or two. We've had a lot of rain for Pacific Northwest. That's a good thing. We want it, but it's a bad thing because it's going to be a short growing season. Anyways, had to move the lemon tree back into the greenhouse just because it was getting too stinking wet. In here, we've got our tomato plants are catching on. They're solid, rooted, growing well. We shoved one into the hydroton a couple weeks ago just for the fun of it. It is coming along. I've got to get some of these lower branches trimmed off, but it's growing. Everything's growing. Tomatoes here as well. Still waiting for the last of the cilantro to go to seed. I've left one cilantro plant, one mustard greens plant. I pulled most everything out. I'm letting the radishes, I'm going to experiment, see if these will, how they do. They flower, they seed, whatever they're going to do. We've got a pepper. Got our first pepper going on in here. We got a couple peppers out front as well. We've got more pepper plants in here. We finally figured out the source of our leak. It was the freaking filter barrel all this time. And so I've made a cheap, simple fix. I just got a hot water drip pan and plumbed it back into the reservoir, to the sump. So now our water losses are an absolute minimum again. So we are good and happy there. We've got new inverter going in to run the chiller because the warm weather is going to come. We've got massive growth over here. We can't mention the name of this plant. It's medicinal, we'll just say that. Lemon balm I've had to keep cutting back. The wasabi's been getting attacked by something, but we're gonna work on getting that transplanted into something that we can keep that going long term. We've been eating plenty of strawberries off the plants down here. You can just see everything's got just massive explosive growth in here. So more fresh strawberries down in here. We've got, I think this was a marigold. I'm not 100% certain. I want to get, I think, calendula, not regular marigolds in here. But when I gotta get some of that in here, and that'll help attract the aphids and keep them away from the other plants. Goldfish are all doing perfectly well and happy. They've already been fed, but let's see what happens when we give them another handful of food here. Nothing like, you know, non-stop eating machines. Your cheapest, most proficient poopers there are. You want fertilizer, you want a quickly established tank, you can't go wrong with feeder goldfish. So our Atlas Scientific sensors have been working great. However, the Pi with the small USB voltage regulator that I'm using here hasn't been as great. We get under voltage problems and it'll stop sending messages to the mosquito server, so I have to reboot it from time to time, even though the web interface still works. So I'm going to be bumping that up to a voltage regulator like I use on the other Raspberry Pi over here with the solar charge controller, because this has worked far more flawlessly for me for long term. I've had very few issues, if ever any, with this setup because of this voltage regulator. I think it's got just better output controls than the tiny little ones. The little ones are perfect for the smaller little boards like this ESP8266, this Wemos D1 that I'm using with the temperature sensor on this other tank. They work great for that. They also work great on these relays that I use to control these inverters. So everything has its place. Battery bank, everything's been holding up really well for the summer. It's never a problem in the summer. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this big battery does this winter, because that'll be the real test for things. Other than that, everything is going smoothly. We've got fans, we've got everything getting upgraded in here and improving performance, improving growth rates, and just looking forward to the future. So, you know, continue to follow along if you like what you're seeing. This is already 4 minutes long. This is longer than normal. We will see you in next month and maybe sometime in between. Ciao.